hello. Whoa. I can't even see myself. Hello there, all of my silky friends. Um, I am afraid that StreamYard is bugging a little bit. I hear everybody say that who uses StreamYard, but how are y'all doing? Did you have a good day at work, at home, at play? Uh, I just got out of the shower a little bit ago. Didn't do my hair, so not that you can really tell when I do it, because it pretty much looks the same, no matter how much time I spend on it. I've got so much to cover tonight, and let me know. Let me have the comments. I don't have my mouse again. I'm sorry. So all of my responses are going to be slower, um, and everything. Let me say hello to everybody before we dive in, because remember, when I am looking at stuff, I don't see your comments. But let me tell you this. I did go back to the last live that I did, and I looked at your comments. Wow, there were some great things in there. And I screenshot a lot of them, and I I know I'm not going to get time to go through it tonight, but maybe tomorrow during the day, or I don't know. Let me just get this out of the way. CJ is in covering live the Stephen Smith case. I think he's going live tomorrow with that in South Carolina. So I'm going to try to hop on panel with him, maybe stream here, or maybe he'll come on mine. I don't know. We're going to work out the details, but I am going to be talking about Stephen Smith. So depending on what time he has, I'm going to move my stuff around it. I will go through it. If I don't have any other time, it'll probably be tomorrow night, but I'm going to go through the comments, and I'll probably do your comments, add some from tonight, because there are some things that people may want to hear on the replay. Let me go ahead and say hello to everybody. Polygraph, hello. Let me get my glasses on. Professor Pug, always good to see you. I would love to talk to you. I know our schedules are so tough. I'd love to talk to you again. Miss Haunted Parlor, I love that name. I just do. Yeah, I love your comment. She's on a roll. She said she was on a roll. It's almost a full moon. You are on a roll tonight for sure. Let me go down here. Unmasked Truth, how are you? Samantha Springman, hello. And Bonnie, hello to you. I'm not even going to try your last name. I think I've tried it before and I probably slaughtered it, so I'm just not going to do that tonight. Just Deb, good to see you. Digital, hello. Sorry, it is slower tonight because no mouse. Because I'm using the good camera. I'm trying to make it better. Janie Lane, hello. I don't think have I ever talked to you before? I don't think I have. Welcome. A lot of people are here in the chat or watch the replay and they never say anything. Oh my goodness. Like I said, hello, Shane Considine. I think that's right. I think I've asked you before. And that is the way. Oh, hey, Michelle Barton. Woo. I love your glasses. Yeah, y'all know I wear the fancy kind, the expensive kind, right? $1.25 from the Dollar Tree. That way, when I sit on them and break them, it doesn't break my heart or my wallet. Okay, so, whew. Just so you know, I think, for y'all who are members, I know I said I was going to do a live last week and I just couldn't because of my hours have changed some, and some nights I'm working later, and I don't know, it's been hard to find a time to do that. But I've got a new idea. of what I'm going to do with members only. If y'all love the funny stuff that we've been doing, that's great. We'll continue to do that, as well as I'm going to have some, for my members only. I believe we're going to go through, we're going to look at some things from basic investigation, okay? Basic investigation techniques, stuff like that. And it's going to be, let me turn this down. It's going to be 101, okay? And we're going to compare that. We're going to learn. We're going to learn together. And we're going to compare what we learn with the Delphi case. And I'm sure other cases will come up. But we're going to start with Delphi because, you know, that's the hot topic these days. So if you want to support this channel, I never ask y'all for stuff, and I never expect you to pay money for a super sticker or anything like, you know, whatever. I try to answer everybody that I can. But if you want to support the channel, it's $4.99 a month. I don't even get all that. But it does give me an incentive to talk to some things that I don't share or I won't share with just anybody. Because members only is private, and so it's less likely it won't get trolled at all, and then it's less likely to be cut up and, you know, redistributed and whatever. So that's the only thing that I'm saying about that. Now the rest of it, everything that I know and I think, I put out here for everybody, okay? Now, that being said, there's two things I want to say. One, if you have not watched this channel before, you know that I take everything in a balance. Remember, we talk about balance. You got to listen to this side. You got to listen to that side. And there are some great creators out there, okay? There are some great creators that I do not agree with their narrative. No way, shape, or form. All right? Don't buy it. They sincerely believe it, and that's okay. But I do still listen to them, because what if I'm wrong? And if they present compelling evidence, I'm going to listen and I'm going to take it into consideration, because it does not matter what you believe happened in Delphi. You can believe it was the Odins. You can believe it was a drug ring. You can believe that it was the family. You can believe, there's all kind of stuff you can believe. And I want to tell you, if you are looking to prove a certain theory, with all the information out there, you can do it. You can find stuff to support your belief. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to support my belief, all right? And let me tell you, because this is off the record, and I'm not going to say who, but from the get-go, I have believed that a certain person is involved. As the perpetrator, not as anything else. Or at least knows, covered it up, whatever. I have had this theory since day one, and I mean, I can support it. We can support a lot of things. I'm not gonna say it, okay, because that would be very damaging. But I just have something that I have a personal theory, okay? And let me tell you, my personal theory is not Richard Allen. So there you go. Now, could he be guilty? Sure he could. Sure he could. I could be totally wrong. It is a theory, as everything is on here, okay? This is not court. Let me say hello to a few more people who have joined. Four Pits. I see you. Where are you at? Here, let's see. I see you. Hello. Four Pits. There's somebody else up here. Where is it? Okay, okay. I see it. I see you. I see you all. Alright. Even in my members only, I'm not going to tell you who I think, what I think happened. Alright? I'm still discovering, like you. We're going to go through. There's some things, man. Alright, the last document, well, not the last. The big document drop by the defense that talks about the Odinists, there is very, very compelling evidence, okay? And then I saw the response, and I've got both. I've got both documents pulled up. I've got the memorandum, and I've got the prosecutor's response. Are we going to get to all of it tonight? I don't know. We're going to try. I'm going to try to run through this pretty quick. But let me tell you, again, balance. You have to understand the first memorandum from the defense, the 136 pages of mind-blowing stuff. Wow. But, and you see this, you see the prosecution mentioning this, saying that the defense is, basically, if you want to put it in layman's terms, they're just spreading these wide tales and fantasies. And that's their job, okay? Their job, I'm sorry, I've got a hair somewhere. It's driving me nuts. That is their job. And is some of it like reaching? Most likely, yes. Okay? They're doing their job. They're going to put out everything they can think to, to get this Frank's motion. And again, if you don't, let me recap. If you don't know what a Frank's motion is, it's based on another case. It basically says that if the things in the PCA or the search warrant are not true or not valid, then any evidence that you have gathered from that has to be, it can't even come into court, all right? It has to be thrown out. So, in other words, if you had one person to unalive another and, the evidence, they were just guilty as homemade sin. But if the investigators did not present the right evidence to say we need a search warrant or that this person is guilty, and they make stuff up or they say things that are not true, even if that person is guilty, when they went in their house, they may have had a suspicion, and so they write something up, get a judge to sign it, go in, they find all this overwhelming evidence that this person is guilty. If that original document was not correct, they lied, they got to throw all the evidence out. Doesn't matter if they're guilty or not. Can't come into court. So that is what the defense is trying to do. All right? And that's just for those of you who may be new and don't know what I'm talking about. Now, the prosecution came back and they said, the defense is fanciful, this is ridiculous, and they go into all the reasons why. That's their job, okay? It's the burden of taking our Constitution and saying that, a subject is innocent until proven guilty. It is the job and it's the burden of the state, meaning the prosecutor, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person is guilty. So, of course, they are going to come out with a document that says, that's a bunch of hogwash. They're just making stuff up. They're just, stretching the truth and, making these wild accusations when none of it's true. All right, balance. Now, the only thing that I will say about that is that the prosecution has the original evidence, okay? The prosecution gets what evidence they have from the investigators who go out and they find a bullet, they find this, they find that. When the defense comes in for a, perpetrator, the prosecution turns over that evidence. So, what makes the original memorandum from the defense more, I guess it makes you more uncomfortable, is because they got all of that evidence from the prosecution. It's not like they're just going out here, talking to people and making up stuff. This evidence comes from the prosecution. So you do have to say, well, there's probably some truth to that, right? We talk so much about the Odinists, and yes, is there compelling evidence to make you say, well, that's mighty strange? that don't look good, and it doesn't. But tonight, I'm not even gonna talk about the odiness. Okay, let's take the odiness out of the picture. Uh, for the record, I don't think it's possible. Okay, it's possible. Certainly, it's possible. There is compelling evidence. I personally don't think, with my theory, that it was the odiness. But I do have a lot of problems with that defense, with a lot of things that the defense said. Now, hello, Frosty. Um, and I made myself some notes because I can't remember squat. Uh, okay, according to Robert Ives, this should have been an easy case to solve, right? Remember that? Remember that? Everybody, including myself, we've all played that interview on some video somewhere. He said there was enough evidence at the crime scene that would indicate they were pretty sure, they knew, in other words, who was involved, or it should have been a really simple case. And he says old-fashioned, police work in that interview. So Robert Ives, he thought, okay, this is going to be solved. Well, it didn't turn out that way, though, did it? So, I mean, what was he saying? What was he thinking? Uh, Obviously, he was the prosecutor at the time. He had, he knew about the odiness tie. If the prosecution says they cleared them early in the game, then of course Robert Ives would have known that and the reasons why. So then we have, understand, I'm going to argue both sides of this. We have the first scenario, okay? And that is, the fact that it wasn't solved quickly would indicate that it wasn't a routine investigation that would follow standard rules, right? Because they couldn't solve it. All right. So Robert Ives was wrong. It wasn't standard. It was more complicated than initially thought. They just haven't had, whether it's the means, the knowledge, or just, some tying in evidence. It's not the cops' fault, okay? It's just they've had a problem solving it. It's harder than they thought. The cops are the good guys, right? That's the first scenario. The second scenario is that, but if there was sufficient evidence, all right, so if they did have the evidence and it wasn't solved, that would mean the evidence was suppressed, right? And the cops are the bad guys. Hey, Jinxie. How come? Jinx, I don't know. Let me see. I don't know if you have, I don't see you have a, I can't tell on here if you've got a wrench. Let me know, because I had to reset everything. I think everything's good, but if it's not, look, I went to reset somebody that accidentally got booted out, and all of my, actually, I didn't delete anybody. When I went into the YouTube Creator Studio, everybody was gone. All my mods were gone, and I didn't touch a thing. So let me know. Okay, so there's sufficient evidence, but it's not solved. That would mean it's suppressed, right? They got the evidence, they haven't given it out. It's suppressed. That makes the cops the bad guys. Do you see how this could go either way? Either they don't have enough evidence, it doesn't go by standard rules. They're doing their job. They're the good guys. They just haven't been able to solve it. And that happens. It just happens. Okay, scenario 2. Just went over that. Now, again, we think. Remember, we think on this channel. Because you can listen to anybody. I listen to some great creators sometimes, and they have such compelling evidence that I'm like, oh man, why didn't I see that before? Yeah, that's what happened. And then I turn around and watch another Delphi video on somebody who's saying something completely different, and I'm like, wow, that's something to think about. Yeah, that could have happened. Wow. What I do in those cases is I actually just don't watch any more videos. Give myself a couple of days, and what I think about is, what sticks? What sticks? Um, because like I said, you can argue with this case, you can argue any point. All right, another scenario would be is that if there was not sufficient evidence to point to anyone specific, and therefore it was out of the norm of investigation. All right, that is why that is why it lent itself to so many different theories, groups, and people who were suspect. Right, so we don't. Let me read this again. I don't even know. I was making notes to myself. There's not enough evidence to point to anyone, and it's not normal. Okay? If you have those two things, well, then you've got to have. That's why there's theories. I mean, there's theories for everything. You know, like I said, we've got them all. In that area, do we know there's corruption? There has been corruption in the past for sure. Um, we know that you've got some motorcycle clubs doing some sketchy stuff. We know that there is a big drug. I'm not gonna say ring. It probably is, but you know, there's a lot of drugs going through that area. You can see by the arrests. And then we have the Odinists. We have all of the other, you know, people that knew Abby or Libby or the family, and there's a lot of theories. So this is why you have to really stop and think and be balanced. Because if you don't realize this, all right, everybody has an agenda. Everybody. I mean, I don't listen to a lot of the talking heads, and I guess I could be in that category too. A lot of talking heads here. But when I am weighing what's evidence some creator or even on the news, I want to look at who is paying you, what is your agenda. Okay, we all excuse me, we all have one, whether we want to admit it or not. If you are, you know, if you are in a certain profession, you're gonna think like that. If you are, you know, just the type of person who's been the victim, let's say you've been the victim of, you know, law enforcement you've had really bad experiences, then you're going to say something, your agenda is going to be colored through that lens. Okay? All right. Yeah, I hope you're feeling better, Jinxie. I sure do. Hiawatha, by the way, I did watch the things that I had already watched the things that you suggested, but it was very good. All right, so let's finish what we started with the document, because I've got some pages here. It struck me, you know, when I read it the first time, I was skipping. There was so much information, 136 pages of, you know, and of course, most of it was about the Odinist, so I focused on that. Now we're going to focus on the other things, and we are going to think. All right? Thinking, always a good thing, right? Let me see if this is it. If it's not it, it's the other one. Okay, yeah. Let me make sure. I cannot see you now, all right? I can't see comments. This is in the memorandum. Again, we're going to talk, and if I don't get through all of this tonight, then we will talk about the prosecution because it is equally as important. Now, here on page 24, we're going to start with, go down to that paragraph that says, the evidence will show that Liggett concealed facts concerning descriptions that key witness Betsy Blair made directly to Liggett face-to-face in 2019 concerning 1. The person that she, Betsy Blair, observed on the bridge, and 2. A vehicle that she observed at the CPS parking lot at around 2:15. Now, I understand. Like, there were some things in here that I did not realize. Again, this is coming from the defense, but uh supposedly, and I hope it came from the actual depositions or affidavits or whatever of the witness testimonies, because if it did not, they have no hope in the world of, getting a Frank's motion. However, uh, if this is true, and the judge is going to know that, the judge can look at it and say, well, the defense just lied here. So why would they do that? I just personally think the defense is hopefully too smart to put false stuff out there. But, I mean, maybe that's what they're planning to do. Maybe they're just, making a big explosion here. But if this is true, and again, we don't have those affidavits to look at, I wish we did. Then we'd know. But according to the defense, for Liggett's time, oh man, I need my mouse. For Liggett's timeline to work and to replace Richard Allen on the Monon High Bridge at 2:13, Liggett desperately needed Betsy Blair to describe a man on the bridge that looked like Richard Allen, and furthermore desperately needed her to describe a car that she observed parked at the CPS building lot at approximately 2:15 p.m. as looking like Richard Allen's black Ford Focus. Suffice it to say, the evidence will show that Liggett concealed from Judge Diener that Betsy Blair had described a man on the bridge that looked nothing like Richard Allen, and described a car at the CPS lot that looked nothing like Richard Allen's car, both in color and design. Hmm. Okay. Well, we weren't privy to that first, at first, and we're still not privy to the affidavits, but according to the PCA, right, that has been released, that we have seen, it does match. So, okay, either the defense here is just, making up a wild bunch of hogwash, that I'm assuming that what they're saying, which can easily be, proved or disproved, is the truth, or at least somewhat the truth. So let's go on. Let me see. I want to stop. We're going to talk a lot more about this. Let me go on to page 50. So give me just a second here. I know y'all got having flashes of, oops. Hold on. Make sure that's right. Let me see. I'll get to look at my email. Hey, CJ. Good to see ya. Yeah, I gotta find out when you're going live tomorrow. All right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Besides y'all looking at my email. Let's go back to this. And go back down to page 50. Sorry, y'all. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Well, it just changed on my, sorry about that. It just changed on my, it was the same document I had. Stupid thing. All right. Let's check out this one. Nope, that's the one I had. Man, don't you just love technology? Why? Why is it doing this? StreamYard, you have thrown up. It's literally not doing what I'm telling it to do. It's just got a dang mind of its own. No. All right. You crazy thing. So I hope y'all are having a good time, because I'm having a blast over here trying to find all this stuff again. Nope. It literally just left me. It was the link, actually, that CJ gave me. I am not believing this. Alright, let me do something else. I guess y'all just talk about your day. No, that's not it. This is crazy. I'm literally, like, look, I just pulled up, I just pulled up, because I know CJ sent this to me again. I just pulled up the link, and it's gone. It actually showed me an email from Ruckus. Alright. It's not even here. Please, y'all, just carry on a conversation, because I really don't know what happened. It's like I was reading it and it just not only disappeared, but disappeared from my email. CJ, are you still watching? If you are, because I can't get it from anywhere else. It has disappeared from my computer. Like somebody just sucked it out. That's crazy. If you can send me the link for the Frank's motion again, everything I'm doing is from the Frank's motion. This is so irritating. Let's see if it's ended up in trash somehow. Nope, not there. Alright, if I wanted to show this to you, because just go to inbox, because it's not going to make any sense if I don't show you. And I didn't take pictures of it because I was reading the actual thing. I've got so much stuff here. Let me do start again. So that's the thing, I even started. And it's out of my starred box. Let me go back to where I can see y'all. Okay, you are there, CJ. I need an email for the Frank's motion that I sent you last, or that you sent me. You sent it to me last week, because for some reason it wouldn't come through on my email. I honestly have never had anything like this happen. I had my, you know how you do in Gmail, you have your, your important stuff starred, and I had all of my starred stuff pulled up. It's not even regular, it's not in the trash, it is just gone. It is just gone. How crazy is that? Thank goodness you're in here, CJ. Because I would just have to tell you what it says, and then you wouldn't believe me. I don't know. I do not know what's going on. That is weird. So weird. Literally everything else in here is still here, except that. Wait. I thought... No, those are just images. That's not what I want. And I know it's in your Discord, CJ. All right. I don't know. That seems beyond bizarre to me as soon as I start reading it. Janie says, I had a term paper that I was writing that just vanished as soon as I finished the last draft. Yeah. With all the theories, Samantha Springman says, with all of the theories, mixed messages, and misinformation stated as facts, including so-called evidence, I honestly don't even think that the real truth will make sense if or when it ever comes out. Yeah, I'm not signed into Discord, and I'm afraid if I try to do that, I'm sorry. If you can send me an email, I'm so sorry, CJ, to be a bother. I know you're got your own tons of stuff. I have no explanation. Because, if I had accidentally deleted it or something, it would be in trash, right? Ain't there. I don't even have an archive. I don't think. It's not anywhere. Yeah, but have y'all, it's weird. It's weird when stuff like that happens. Like, how does it just come out of your email? Just like, it just disappears? I'm looking under all stuff, which means I've got a lot of junk in here. But it's not, by the way, CJ, it's not even, I can't even look up at you. Because when I did, like I said, I tried to just search by email that you sent me. It pulled up something that Ruckus sent me. So, I don't know. You're amazing, CJ. Yes, you are. Professor Pug says you are a gem. He is. He is absolutely amazing. And I'm so excited for him going on the show. On the road. His cyber ghost just Deb. Yes. Oh. Oh my gosh. This is terrible. Okay, well, okay. Let me tell you, while we're looking at it, and I can show you, prove to you, what I'm going to go ahead and tell you, but then we'll look at it in writing, okay? The defense is talking about, again, Betsy Blair. We were just reading that. Betsy Blair had she was one of the witnesses. We have several. We have several witnesses. But did you know that according to them, she did not see, it's not Betsy Blair. It's, the one I'm thinking of at the moment is her name Sarah? Carbaugh, I think is her last name. Is that it? If I had the papers, I'd know. But it's the one that saw the muddy, bloody witness, okay? When you read this stuff, according to the defense, they are saying she never said there was mud and blood. She's saying, as a matter of fact, the jacket was not blue. The jacket was tan and muddy. Tan and muddy. Now, if that's true, that's mind-blowing, right? Because we're all here believing, according to the PCA, that it's a dark blue jacket, muddy and bloody, which, again, newsflash, you can't see blood on dark blue. That's why I wear it as my uniform, okay? That is my color of choice. Because black, when you walk into a patient's room in the hospital wearing black, it kind of freaks them out a little bit. And now I'm in corrections, so I wear navy blue. Because guess what? It could happen. I could get blood everywhere from, a fight, whatever. So just patching somebody up. It never shows up as blood. So that was always a bunch of horse poo. Trying to make YouTube happy here. Horse hockey, whatever. Not gonna see blood on that. But if it's true that what she saw was just muddy and tan, boy, that sounds mighty sus, okay? Because remember, this is in the PCA. This is in, this is why we're saying that Richard Allen is guilty. Well, fine. If he's guilty, fine. But we need, evidence to back it up that is correct. Let me go back and see if I can find anything, because I hate telling y'all this, and it sounds like I'm just making stuff up. Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. Aw, thank you, CJ. Bless your heart. Like, I appreciate it, but definitely, I just need the email. All right, so it talks about, believe it or not, it talks about the witnesses. There were a lot of things that were inconsistent with the witnesses and the timeline and the car. Okay? Because according to the defense, based on the witnesses who did an affidavit, right? The timeline of when Richard Allen was there was not correct. Again, if the defense is right, and this is actually what they said, that's a big, big problem for the prosecution. Great for Richard Allen. Four Pitts said, I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about the witness? Can't think of her name either. Oh, but I always said she is not a credible person. Well, that's, and she may not be. Okay. Let me read some of this. Deb, that's why I couldn't figure out why Tony Liggett was saying bloody when she just said muddy, and also the color of the jacket. He changed it to match his theory. Okay, that. And again, it is in this memorandum that the internet sucked into cyberspace while I was reading it. So, yeah, that's the thing. And that is the point. So let's just take the odinist out of it. All right, let's take that whole... There's a lot of sketchy stuff in there about the odinist, okay? But let's take all that out of there. And let's take Brad Holder out. Let's take all of them out. Let's just talk about what was actually seen. And then there were some things about, well, we'll get into that with the prosecution. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? Because it's already, my Lord, we haven't gotten anywhere. Let me just put a couple of your comments up here. David Rogers, nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Lies a town drenched in ruin, and the town would be known as Delphi. Yeah, let's talk about Cheyenne. Again, sketchy stuff. But again, we're talking about theories, and probably very good ones. All right, probably very good ones. I'm just looking at the paperwork. Okay, while I'm trying to get the memorandum. I don't even know what's going on here. Let me look at, and we'll do the prosecution, because why not? I can get to another text email. We can go ahead and do with that response, because I have spent a long time talking about. Yeah, there's literally nothing coming through here. Not a dang thing. Oh, it says something is loading. Oh, CJ, yay! All right. Thank you, everybody. Give a round of applause for CJ. Whoop, whoop. All right. Let me go back to StreamYard and see if it will work for me, because I really do want to get through this. Because here's the thing, I want to give what the prosecution says equal time, okay? I want to give it equal time. CJ, you are a hero, an absolute hero. All right, let's see if we can keep everything from not throwing up. Let's go back. Y'all getting flashes. You know, here's the problem. When you go live and do stuff like this, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, I could sing for y'all. Let me sing you a song. It's not going to help about Delphi, but I can do that. We'll save that for members only. All right, we are going to page 50. Okay, we just talked about, I'm not interested in Odinism tonight. And I wrote this down. Okay, that's all about Odin. I thought this was kind of interesting. They said about Holman. Again, that we're talking about just above this. They're talking about, you know, the elusive professor from Purdue or wherever that said the Odinists had nothing to do with it. It says, in other words, Holman did not tell Purdy that the Purdue conclusions were that, quote, it was not Odinism or any type of cult worshiping or any type of group that would have conducted the crime. So Purdy's saying, you know, he did. Holman has told one story to Purdy and yet another story. Where are we at? Under oath in a deposition as to what the Purdue professor's conclusions were concerning Odinism involvement in the murders. Okay, and my only point with this is that if that is true, and that is in the paperwork, then he did say, again, under oath, like Tony Liggett did, he said under oath that there's only one perpetrator, but yet Tobe said under oath in his affidavit that Tony and I talk about this all the time. We know there's more than one perpetrator. Again, it's just establishing a principle that maybe these people aren't the most truthful, okay? Maybe. So let's go to my next page I wanted to go to. So now we have Liggett, you know, suspicious of, you know, is he telling the truth? I don't know. It don't look good. Holman's also, you know, telling some stories, or at least telling one person one thing and another person something else, which is a problem when you've got somebody's life on the line, okay? Or if you're just trying to solve a case, it's a problem. All right, on page 89, we're getting there. I'm afraid to do this any other way because I'm, you know, like, Lord. All right, let's go up just a little bit. Okay, this is, I'm not going to read why did I write this? Oh, okay. This is just, you know, this is talking about, again, this is about Brad Holder, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I know why I wanted this. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. Again, lying under oath. That's what's in question here, okay? It's not whether the Odins did it. It's not, you know, whether the police are corrupt. It's not, it's about telling the truth. Seems to be a big problem in Delphi. All right, so, this is the dialogue between Liggett, who was answering defense counsel's questions at Liggett's August 8th, 2023 deposition concerning what Liggett claims his knowledge of Brad Holder was. Okay, so Brad Holder then. So was there any other reason that Brad Holder was a suspect or at least a person of interest other than the fact that his son Logan dated Abby? And Liggett says, I'm sure there was, but I don't recall without reviewing this information. Okay, first of all, I'm going to stop you. The crime scene, all of the Odinism, all of the cultic stuff that were, at the crime scene, you don't recall. Well, first, I don't buy that, but let's go on. You have to review that information. He's saying, is there any other reason that Brad Holder is a suspect? Well, I know he's an Odinist, but no reason. So nothing stands out to you as you sit there about why Brad Holder might have been a suspect. No, he says, other than the connection with his son and Abby. Is that right? Correct. Okay, I'm just going to say this. Tony Liggett either has the attention span of a 6-week-old puppy and maybe the IQ, because this was a big thing, right? Either that is your problem, you can't remember squat, or you're lying. Which one is it, Tony Liggett? Which one? Because both can't be true. Either you know exactly why Brad Holder was a suspect, or you just dumb. And I hope, for Carroll County's sake, that you're not that stupid. I'm sorry, this makes me angry because you're going to sit there and say that, a legal document. You're going to say, oh, no, his son dated Abby, but that's the only connection I see. Are you freaking kidding me? Really? BS. All right, then let's go to my favorite part. And there is a lot to this, y'all. And I mean, I probably will skip some of it. Again, you can read the whole thing if you haven't. But these are the things that really stick out. All right, let's go to page 106. All right. And again, y'all, remember, I cannot see your comments. I've got this on full screen so I can read it. So, I'm sorry if y'all are saying great things. I'll catch it on the replay when I watch that. All right. This is, again, now the defense is going to reach as far as they possibly can, okay? That's their job. But we're going to read it with an open mind, knowing that they're going to try to put in as much fluff as they can to make it compelling. All right, for Liggett's timeline to work and to place Richard Allen on the Monon High Bridge at 2:13, the time of the famous Down the Hill video, Liggett desperately needed Betsy Blair to describe a man on the Monon High Bridge that looked like Richard Allen, and perhaps more importantly, needed Betsy Blair to describe a car that she had observed parked at the CPS building at approximately 2:15 as looking like Richard Allen's black Ford Focus. All right, Betsy Blair's description of the man she observed on the Monon High Bridge around 2 p.m. looked nothing like Richard Allen. Liggett concealed this information from Judge Diener. Betsy Blair's description of the vehicle she observed at the CPS parking lot looked nothing like a black Ford Focus. Liggett also concealed this information from Judge Diener. Well, you can see this part. It's funny the way it is written from the defense. Yes, it's very theatrical, and the response that Nick McClellan makes is about the theatrics. He's absolutely right. It is very theatrical, but it's entertaining. For good measure, Liggett also lied about what Sarah Carbaugh observed at 3:57 p.m. that also blew up his timeline. That was for good measure, y'all. All right, let's go down here. I'm afraid to touch anything on here. All right, Betsy Blair's first description of the man she saw on the bridge was memorialized in sketch number 2, illustrated on February 17th, 2017, 3 days after the girls were found, but not released to the public until April 22nd, 2019. So, sketch number 2 is what we call young bridge guy. You know, you got the original bridge guy, the old fart, and then you got young bridge guy that's like, they look nothing alike. Nada. So anyway, this is the description where I'm not going to read it word for word. This is the description that Betsy Blair gave the sketch artist. Okay? The man that she observed was a white male, age 20, had brown curly hair. Let's go down. Medium build. Well, we know bridge guy was kind of, fluffy. And then it says, see the attached, Exhibit 103, which of course I am not privy to. Let's go down. The Unified Command, this is a scary thing. The Unified Command did not release the Betsy Blair sketch to the public for over 2 years. Instead, they first released the Sarah Carbaugh sketch, also called sketch number 1. And that's just because it was released first. That sketch was illustrated by FBI sketch artist Plants from Detroit, blah, blah, blah. All right. Who was the person that Sarah Carbaugh was describing in her sketch? According to Liggett's affidavit, at approximately 3:57 p.m., Sarah Carbaugh observed a man walking westbound on County Road 300 North. Sarah Carbaugh was headed eastbound on Country Road 300 North, operating her motor vehicle while simultaneously observing this man walking on the road toward her on the opposite side of the road. This is the same man that she described for the sketch artist on June 19th. Okay? It's just so we know who and where did the second sketch. All right, let's keep going. Now, right down here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it says Betsy, going back to the sketch number 2, but actually Betsy did this one. She was frustrated. She met with Tony Liggett. She was frustrated because sketch number 1, which had been released to the public almost 2 years before, did not match the man that she, let's go down, Betsy Blair, observed on the high bridge. Betsy even commented that sketch number 1 was wrong. Certainly, it was odd that the Sarah Carbaugh sketch was chosen to be released over the Betsy Blair sketch for the following reasons. All right, let's see why. Why did they choose that to be the first one? Okay, Betsy Blair provided her description to the sketch artist only 4 days after seeing the man on the bridge, while it was fresh on her mind, compared with Sarah Carbaugh, who provided her description to the sketch artist 126 days after she observed the man on the road. Well, I mean, you can kind of have an imprint in your head, but maybe not going down the road, okay? Not going down the road. I'm going down the road. I'm just telling you. Unless I know there's been a crime committed, I'm driving, I'm thinking, I'm listening to music, I'm doing something. You might see somebody, you might remember, hey, there was a guy, and he was in the general area, but even a description would be very difficult. Now, add 126 days to that. I mean, I'll tell you, I couldn't give a good description passing somebody at our local park, just walking by him. I don't even know if I could tell you I saw anybody. So, I mean, they're doing good. 4 days. And we all know how sketchy, this kind of science is, because people are notoriously wrong. Witnesses are. Okay, so, but there was a huge difference. 4 days versus 126 days. Do you see? It is sus. Betsy Blair had a good look at the man's face while stationary. Okay, she was still, from only 50 feet away. Sarah Carbaugh was not stationary, but rather traveling down the road, like we said, in her car. So, yeah, if you're going down the road, moving versus 50 feet standing, I would say that Betsy Blair had a much better look, idea of what this guy looked like than Sarah Carball. All right. Then we're going to Betsy's March 7th, 2017 interview, talking with two members of Unified Command, Kevin Hammond and Tony Liggett. There old Tony is. Look at him. All right. I'm sorry. I have a lot of issues with that man. But that's personal. Well, not really personal. I don't know him, but this investigation, I take issues with a lot of stuff that has happened. All right. According to her, the man was slender and youthful looking. He was more boyish looking. The man was in his 20s to early 30s. His hair seemed poofy, just as the sketch portrayed. He had no facial hair that she can remember. All right, she could be wrong about that, especially if you're passing somebody. And we'll probably get into it in the next one. But I started looking at some bridge guy stuff, and I was like, I didn't see that before. But let's just say, she said he was in his 20s to early 30s. I mean, I think at the time, Richard Allen, if he was bridge guy, he would have been, in his 40s, which some people look a lot younger than their age, and that's fine. But he was boyish, youthful. She could have misjudged that. Absolutely. Could be wrong. But the poofy hair. Now, I have never, ever, ever seen a picture of Richard Allen with poofy hair. And that is something that you remember, okay? Because people usually only have two types of hair. It's curly or it's not curly. It's, fluffy or it's straight. Especially guys. All right. Okay, so finally, in April 22nd of 2019, they released Betsy Blair's sketch, and Doug Carter commented that the man in sketch number 2 was responsible for the unalivings. Okay, Doug Carter said. I know he's not an investigator on the case, but he does represent ISP. He said, this guy, not the old guy, like, disregard him, young guy. All right. This is the guy. Now, to me, that guy looks nothing like Richard Allen. I mean, he is. But then again, sketch artists even are not always accurate because witnesses don't really, they're not accurate either. They're memories. So, I mean, he could look nothing like this guy. The only thing that stands out to me is the age, because even though I would say, I don't know what Richard Allen looked like in 2017. He didn't seem like he changed that much to when he was arrested. But I would definitely not call him in his 20s, all right? Or early 30s. I wouldn't say that. All right, Liggett was present when Betsy Blair described the man. She was actually talking to Liggett face to face when she provided the description. All right. Liggett heard, this is the point. Liggett heard Betsy's description of a much younger man with brown poofy hair, but chose to conceal this information from Judge Diener. Well, if that is true, and that is what her affidavit said, and Liggett was there, I would say that's a problem, okay? But it doesn't make Richard Allen innocent at this point, because at this point we don't even know who did what. But it doesn't exonerate him, but it does say, I don't think he was bridge guy, not the person that they saw. I mean, we know he was there. He said he was there, and we'll get into that in Nick's response. But it still doesn't really line up. All right. So I liked this. And now, again, this is a little bit dramatic, but in order for Liggett to have provided Judge Diener with honest and accurate information, he would have had to state the following in his affidavit. I, Tony Liggett, believe that Richard Allen is the man that unalived the girls for the reasons stated herein. I also believe that the man that Betsy Blair observed on the bridge is Richard Allen, and therefore the perpetrator. So you can read through that, and again, they are taking dramatic license. They are. It is entertaining. And while I am entertained by it, I don't, it doesn't stick. It's like, interesting read. I want to know the facts. Give me the facts. So let's keep going. Okay, some of that is, it's not fluff, it's just more drama. Okay, this underlined part. In order for Liggett's timeline to work, he needs Richard Allen's black Ford Focus to be parked at the CPS lot from 1:30 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. Betsy Blair sees one car at the CPS building lot at 2:15 p.m. and it is not Richard Allen's car. All right. So I'm thinking from 1:30 to 4:30, that is a long time. And they're saying that he parked at the CPS lot for sure. And we get into the different vehicles that we're seeing there. That's a crazy, that is a crazy thing right there. I don't even know. I don't even know. We'll get there. But at 2:15, she sees one car at the CPS lot, and it is not a black Ford Focus, okay? All right, so Allen is voluntarily interviewed on October 13th, 2022. Gosh. Watching the videotaped interview, it is apparent that Richard thought he was being asked questions to help assist the police in solving the crime. If that's true, bless his heart. In trying to provide Liggett and Mullen a timeline of when he was at the trail, Richard stated, okay, that he arrived at the trail around noon. Wait a second. I thought that Richard Allen said he was there between 1:30 and 3:30. Isn't that what I've heard, you've heard, we've all heard? That's why, he was like a prime suspect after 6 years. Do that what you want, but I'm like, wait a second. So this is on the tape, they're saying, and again, easily disproven, unless the only reason that the defense would do this and completely make up crap would be just to throw a bombshell out there, but here's the thing, if there is no merit to it, like if all this stuff that they're saying in these documents are completely untrue and just made up or changed, the defense, they're going to look like morons. Complete and utter morons. So would these attorneys have a very good reputation for winning cases. Would they risk their reputation on just making stuff up for the judge? I don't know. I think you'd have to be a little touched in the head to do that, which is not to say that they couldn't, but it's going to be so easily disproven. And I think this will come up definitely in court. Definitely in the court of public opinion, making crap up. So I have to assume that since they said this is on the videotape of his interview, that this is what he said. Now, Dan Doolin said, this is what he said. Oh, but that was 6 years ago, and, gosh darn it, I just met him outside of a store, and this is what he said, and they just lost that paper, what, the whole Dan Doolin fiasco. Whatever. But these are the things, again, thinking. I'm going to weigh it. Defense theatrics, some truth. Let's try to pick out what might be truth. Okay? All right. Later in the interview, okay, he says he arrived around noon. Later in the interview, Richard Allen told Liggett and Mullen that he probably left the trail around 1:30 p.m. Whoa, hold the phone. Because according to Kelsey, she didn't even pull up to the Mears lot until 1:38 p.m. So Richard Allen's saying, I left at 1:30 or somewhere about there, give or take a few minutes. I mean, he couldn't have been the perpetrator if he left, okay? Now, I will say this. Evidence on his cell phone, and I've heard different things. I've heard some people say you can get service out there at High Bridge, and then some people say that your phone is dead as a doornail out there. Well, if it was dead, then there are things that can't be true. If he had no service, then he couldn't have been looking at the stock ticker, right? But if there's no service out there, Libby couldn't have uploaded to Snapchat, could she? So, is there or isn't there? If his phone shows that he was there until 3:30 or whatever, then we'll know that this is crap. But according to this interview and the defense, they say he said he left at 1:30. In his affidavit, Liggett states that Richard Allen parked his black Ford Focus at the CPS parking lot and then cut over to the trail, where he then walked to the High Bridge, ultimately following out Abby and Libby, before he abducted them. After the event, Liggett stated in his affidavit that Betsy Carbaugh observed a man that Liggett claims is Richard Allen walking. Betsy Carbaugh, they mean Sarah Carbaugh. Y'all, somebody typed this wrong. Walking along 300 North at approximately 3:57. Okay, so that's almost 4 o'clock. So this is all over, and he's walking back to the car. The implication being that Richard Allen was walking back to his car after abducting and, unaliving the girls. Okay, we're following that. If what Liggett wrote in his affidavit were true, then Richard Allen's black Ford Focus would have been parked in the CPS lot from 1:30 p.m. until at least 4 p.m. Right, it would have to be. Giving him time, to do all this, all right? So, yeah, because the girls come at 1:38. By 2:07, there's a picture of the Snapchat. They're saying by 2:13 is the time that this video was taken on Libby's phone of guys down the hill. So we know that he had to be there, right? But he's saying he came about 12 and left at 1:30. Around, give or take. All right. Well, that doesn't match up. Unless Richard Allen's lying. Okay? So let's say for the sake of it, he is lying. He came at 1:30, he left at 4. He would have to be there, his car would have to be in that lot all those hours, right? Okay. If Richard's black Ford Focus was not on that CPS parking lot between those hours of 1:30 and 4, then Liggett's timeline would be blown. Well, yeah. Big problem. Let's see. We go through all these times, and you can see where they're asking, is it your contention that RA's black Ford Focus was parked, at the building at roughly 1:29? Okay, yes, and I go through all these times. It was parked all the way up to 2:30. Man, this gets redundant. I don't know. So he's saying yes. They're asking him in 15-minute increments. Like, Tony Liggett's probably ready to you know, he's probably, he's having a time. I can't even say what I want to say because it's YouTube. He's probably had enough by the time they get up to 4 o'clock. But the point being that they wanted to establish all this time from 1:30 to 4, around about, the car was parked there. Okay. So now Tony says that. So, all right. Therefore, if there was any evidence that Richard Allen's black Ford Focus was not parked in the old CPS parking lot between those times, that is something that Liggett would be required to share with Judge Diener. Rather than tell the truth, I love this. Again, I understand this is the fanciful, not maybe fanciful, but this is the dramatic, that's the word I was looking for. This is the dramatic reading, okay? You gotta be entertained anyway. Let's see. All right. All right, so he couldn't, basically, okay, they're saying that he couldn't have been, if his car wasn't there, he didn't do it. Sure. He didn't tell Judge Diener that Richard Allen stated he had left the trails at 1:30. He should have, especially if there were evidence that a different vehicle was parked at the old CPS lot after 1:30, but before 4 p.m. Which would support Richard Allen's statement that he left around 1:30. So the next question to ask is, did anyone see a vehicle parked at the old CPS building between 1:30 and 4 that did not resemble Richard Allen's Ford Focus? Yes, the answer is Betsy Blair. And look, these cars, I mean, even when we get into the prosecution's response, this car situation, I don't even know. I don't even know what y'all smoking over there. It's crazy. But I love this. Rather than tell the truth, Liggett concealed. Oh my gosh. You gotta love the way it's written. Even if you don't, even if you believe he's guilty, you gotta give some props to the writing of this thing. When Betsy Blair arrived at the trail at roughly 1:46 p.m., she had parked her vehicle in a different location that the defense calls the Mears parking lot. Again, it is possible if Kelsey left the girls off at 1:38, like, I guess like the timeline says, 1:38 to 1:46, it's a few minutes, but I would think, because she watched the girls walk up the trail, right, and she was on the phone, I would think there would have been some crossover, but that Betsy would have seen her, but, that's just a hypothetical, okay? I can't prove that at the moment, so. And when you say roughly 1:46, I mean, who looks at their watch all the time? You don't. You do what you do. You have to guess at the time. When she left the Monon Trail and pulled out of the Mears parking lot, Betsy Blair headed west on 300 North in her car and was spotted on the Hoosier Harvest Store camera heading towards the old CPS lot at 2:14 p.m. Okay, so we know when she left because it's on camera. The old CPS lot is only a 36-second drive from the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. So it gave her a full minute to drive from the store to the old CPS lot. That would mean Betsy Blair would pass the old CPS lot at around 2:15. Remember that Liggett has admitted under oath that at 2:15 p.m. Richard Allen's black Ford Focus was parked there, okay? That's why he was busy doing his thing. However, at 2:15, when Betsy Blair passed the old CPS building, she did not see a black Ford Focus. We've established that. The car that she did see looked nothing like a black Ford Focus. Betsy Blair, and I don't think I heard this before. Betsy Blair observed one car parked in the lot at 2:15 and that the car resembled a 1965 Ford Comet. Now, I'm going to tell you something. A Ford Focus and a Comet from 1965 look nothing alike. Not nada. Nothing. As a matter of fact, you would a 1965 Comet would be like, it's very interesting. You know, when you see an old antique car like that, you're like, oh man, you know, you don't see them every day. It draws your attention. Ford Focus, you can pass 1,000 of them and never notice it's a Ford Focus. Okay. Uh, but she said it resembled, she said she thought it was a Comet because it resembled a car that her father once owned. All right, what that tells me is it may not have been a Comet, it may not have been Ford. But what it does tell me, it was an old car, an old style car, an old distinctive, you know, in that look, you know, that, yeah, you know an antique car when you see one. Um, Whatever she saw, that's what it reminded her of a 1965 vehicle. Big difference. Big, big, big difference. Um, the shape had sharper angles. And y'all know, Focus has all round angle. There are no sharp angles on a Focus. Again, to whom did Betsy Blair provide this description of a 1965 Ford Comet? None other than Liggett himself. Liggett was fully aware that the car that Betsy Blair described as being backed into the spot at the old CPS building looked nothing like Richard Allen's black Ford Focus, but Liggett concealed that information from Judge Diener. Well, is that the truth? I mean, honestly, I read that and I'm like, huh? Because if that is true, if that is actually what she said, and that is the, you know, deposition, affidavit, whatever she gave, I'm like, how did you ever get from point A to point B with that Ford Focus Comet? I'm like, all right, if Liggett knew that, what were you thinking? Is this true? Again, I'd love to see, you know, here's the thing. A lot of this could be embellished. A lot of this could be, you know, whatever. Maybe maybe some of it's fantasy. I don't know. I wouldn't think so, being a legal document, but let's just say it is. Um, I will have to say though that this case, if that is if it's that fanciful and made up, I don't understand. No, I do understand exactly why they suppressed all of the documents. Okay? We're sealing everything. I can't see nothing. Because do you know, if this is true, can you imagine what all of us people out in Delphi world would have done if we saw this and it was a 65 Ford Comet, and then, you know, we'd all be looking at our, you know, friends, family, anybody in, you know, 16 states surrounding who's got a car like this, who was in Delphi. And then the other thing that you would do is when they arrested Richard Allen, you would say, that was not a Ford Focus. Okay, we remember. So, you know, I'm like, at this point, I want to see those documents. We can't yet. But that makes sense if that's why they didn't want anybody to see it. You know, you wouldn't want anybody to see the big fat mess that's going on. I don't know. It should also be noted that if Richard Allen left at 1:30 p.m., then the person that Betsy Blair observed on the high bridge at roughly 2 p.m. was not Richard Allen. Whoa. If that's true, if Richard Allen left at 1:30 or thereabouts and she didn't get there till 1:46, then who she saw on the bridge was not Richard Allen. She saw a young guy with poofy hair. If this is accurate, what Betsy Blair said, then it is definitely not describing Richard Allen. Interesting. Uh, I love this. And the story. And it gets even worse. The novel. When asked to describe this, okay, now this is mind blowing too. When asked to describe the color of the car that resembles a 1965 Ford Comet, Betsy Blair actually told Liggett that the car she saw was not black. Huh. Well, what did she say it was? Okay, let's try to figure out. It wasn't black, but was it like navy? Was it dark? Was it purple? Was it what was it? Um okay, he needed it to be black, but it wasn't black. And with an older car like that, I will say this. If it was truly an older car, black would be a standard color. In 65, I don't know if they made brown ones, like dark brown, like that chocolate color that could be and I'm trying to see on here if they gave a color or if she gave a color. But generally speaking, in that period of time, cars were on the brighter side. You had some like, greens and blues, and they were more colorful than today. So a Comet, I don't know. I could see it being in black for sure. Black, white, maybe some random colors. But if it wasn't black, then I would be interested to know what color she thought it was. Was it dark? I mean, she could be wrong. She thought it wasn't black, but it was. I don't know. Let's see if I can find anything in here. All right, so this would mean that at some point, according to this, at some point in time after Richard left the old CPS lot, an older, angular-looking car that resembled the Comet and was not black arrived at the CPS building. Okay, we got that. At roughly 2:15 p.m. when returning home, so it's not that much later, she only spent about 30 minutes on the trails, Betsy Blair observed this car that reminded her of the Comet. Evidence concealed by Liggett supports that Richard Allen was not at the crime scene and that he had already left at 1:30 p.m. and was already home by that time. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that somewhere in here that somebody had said that Hoosier caught him leaving, not what time he arrived, but what time he left. And I cannot remember. And if that's true, then, then this is crap. All right, let's be honest. But according to her, that's not what she saw. He wasn't parked there. Could he have parked somewhere else? I say I say this, if you are going to commit a crime and you know you're going to commit a crime, I wouldn't park anywhere around there, okay? I'd park somewhere, I'd walk a long distance, or I'd have somebody, pick me up and drop me off. I wouldn't have my car near a crime scene at all. That's just me. I mean, I'm thinking if you have more than 2 brain cells to rub together and it's planned, you don't want to put yourself there. But, we all know criminals are not the brightest people in the world. All right, and I think we're about done with this. I am going to read this because it's entertaining. It's entertainment, y'all. This is simply outrageous and abusive behavior on the part of Liggett. Definitely written in a dramatic style. Is it true? Oh, possibly. I mean, if these things line up, it can be dramatic all at once. You can love it or hate it. You can be entertained or not. But if this stands, then it is a problem. Okay? Because if this is true, then Richard Allen was not even there. Now, let me throw something else at you. This is my opinion. I'll give it to you in just a second. You're going to get mine. Oh my gosh. And then they go on about, his conditions, and we've talked a lot about that. But let me just go to this one part. Let's go down here where it's underlined. Liggett flat out lied when he told Judge Diener that in 2017, Sarah Carball described a man as wearing muddy and bloody clothing and was also wearing a blue jacket. Flat out lied. Well, again, we'll see. What did her affidavit say? We'd like to see that. I'd like to see it. Sure would. It's either true or it's not. Okay? And I don't care what kind of theory you have, if you're all for law enforcement are the good guys, or you're all, Richard Allen is the good guy being framed. Doesn't matter what side you're on, what you believe right now, unless you have looked at those documents and you have seen the affidavit that the witness signed, it is still just your opinion. Okay? And are witnesses wrong? Sure they are. Sure they are. All the time. But according to this, it would be definitely something that I agree. If you had all this evidence between the Odinism and the witnesses not putting Alan there, I think that asking the judge to sign that, I think they did misrepresent. Now, whether the judge will see it that way, I don't know. I kind of wish they hadn't been so, what was the word? Dramatic in their writings. I wish they had been cut and dried, and just said it. I feel like it would have had more weight. I feel like they are just making a big, whatever. And, let's see. Again, tan colored coat, blah, blah, blah. All right. So I'm going to end that part right there, okay? But you see how crazy this is? I feel like so many people are just out here doing some crazy stuff. Saying some crazy stuff. I can't even see. Let me go back and see who's in here, what you've said. Oh my gosh. That's the thing, is I can't even see. When I'm reading, I can't even see it. I'm so far behind y'all. I'm gonna go back and read your comments tomorrow. Or this evening. One. I had, just so you know, there were some great comments from Copfax, and I have Apophis on my last one. Definitely going to talk about those. David Rogers, I'm sorry. I would love to show that, but I don't know how YouTube. Carroll County is without question the biggest stain in Indiana. I don't know if it's the biggest. There's a bunch of them. But let me tell you something. All right, let me talk about a few things. What time is it? All right. I went through that pretty quick. Have you had enough for tonight? Enough to process, or do you want to get the prosecution's response? Because I can't stay up. I don't have to work tomorrow, so you let me know in the chat if you want to see it. It might not take as long. They are pretty cut and dried. It is undramatic. However, there's some things that that do bother me about it. Anyway, oh, keep digging, keep going. Okay. I will get over to that. Okay, we were talking about the is it true, is it not? If it's true, if what these witnesses, okay, if what these witnesses said is true, sorry, just fluffing, then it is a big problem, okay? It definitely makes it look like they've got the wrong guy, and, whatever manner it's written in. It looks like they do have, reason to question, perhaps request a Frank's motion. Now, was Richard Allen there? I don't know. I keep an open mind, but I will tell you this, and I've went back and forth on this issue a lot, and I had a theory it wasn't set in stone until I read this memorandum, okay? Because everything was so sealed for so long, and we didn't know. And even when all those first documents came out, we still didn't know nothing. We learned hardly zip. Um, I will say this for 100% certainty, in my opinion, okay? Based on this memorandum and the description, let's take everything out. Let's take the onus out. Let's take the witnesses out. Let's not even think about that. Based on the description of the crime scene, my 100% opinion is that those girls were not there during the search. Okay? I don't see any way around it. The drone, all the people walking around, not being that far from the bridge, the shoe, the clothes in the water. I don't buy it. And I don't buy that if there were truly all these people at High Bridge that Kelsey said she saw, okay, all these kids roaming around, that this crime happened there. Now, could they have been abducted by anybody? Somebody. Could they have been abducted and brought back at a later time, even at night at 2:30? We've got that whole. That's a very real possibility. Yes. But did they commit the crime? Well, we already know from the crime scene, and I don't understand here because I thought, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought the FBI said that there was like a ton of blood, like red stuff, at the crime scene. But according to this last memorandum, there wasn't. So either there was or wasn't. If there was, I still don't buy that the girls were unalived and laying there during the search. I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me. They were not there. They were not there. So where were they? That's my question. Who had them? Where were they? We could go on and on and on. I've done a lot of videos about different theories. So, all right, let's go. You're right. No search. The dogs were called out. Yeah, there's so much. There's so much crap in that. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's go to. Y'all wanted to go on? Let's go. Let's look at the prosecution's response. And I definitely will have to go into some. I have some other pictures, but it's not that many pages. It's only 6 pages. Hold on, this ain't it. Well, actually, I think it is, but it's not. All right, let me look at this a different way. There's a couple of these that they really basically say the thing, but they let me get to my Gmail. But they don't like the title is different. It's kind of weird. I was reading through it. I couldn't really tell much difference. But let me get the actual ones. Should be starred. I should be able to do this. Oh, that's not it. Maybe it is. No. Because I was emailing this to somebody else too. I think this is the same thing I just looked at. It says like say it has the word second in it. This is broadcasting. What the heck? I literally have all of this because I sent it. All right. This is really weird. Oh, I didn't mean to. Are y'all looking at all my email? Am I sharing all of this? I guess I am. Look at there. All right. Uh, let me go to sent. This is literally crazy because I starred all of this stuff. Nope. And the thing of it is, the thing about this is that I literally had it pulled up before and was looking at both of these documents before, well, I was getting ready, prepared. I had to make sure that, everything, you know what, I give up. It's not even in my sent. Dear Jesus. All right, we'll probably have to do this a different night unless I can find it. And I did send it, I did forward it, so it should be in my email twice because it was sent to me and then I forwarded it, so it should be in 2 different places. And it is absolutely not here. Weird. Now, the memorandum I have downloaded to my computer. All right. I'm just going to tell y'all, I have never had this happen before. That is crazy. You know what, though? Let me look at this. Because a lot of this does say, this is the broadcasting order. This is interesting, though. I want to tell you the response is 8 pages. It's 8 pages. And, that is as crazy to me as anything I have ever seen in my life. There was a transfer motion. Again, all right, let's see what this one is. This is not the one I actually was looking for, but no. Response gone. This is basically the PCA, but, here's the thing. I'm going to have to do this tomorrow. Sorry, y'all. I have no explanation. None. I have absolutely no explanation as to why this happened to my email. Never has happened on a live before. But I want to go. That's okay. And I'll tell you why. Because I've got some other things to go with that information that the prosecution responded to that I went back and looked at. And I was like, this is really interesting. I haven't seen them before. So sorry you have to wait. I'm not doing this on purpose, y'all. Just weird. Okay. So basically, that the RA has decided, he wants it televised. They motioned for it, and I've got all those documents because I don't want to use them. They're just, FYI, so whatever. But those documents, RA said, we want transparency, we want this to be televised, and then the prosecution came back and said, no, these are all the reasons, blah, 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 the theatrics and, I guess, kind of the integrity of the case and yada, yada. Here's what I found, and I will tell you this, of what the PCA and what this prosecution's response was. It does say in there, and it gives the breakdown of when they interviewed RA and the reasons why that this should stand and the evidence should stand. But they're talking about RA, and in there he says that, they ask him, were you on the bridge? Yeah, he was very willing. Here's the big thing with me. He was very willing to say, yes, I was there. These are the clothes I was wearing. I was here between this time and this time. And they asked him, do you have guns? Yes. Did you ever let anybody use your guns? No, nobody ever borrowed it. And so he's very, very honest. And that makes me believe that the one sentence in that memorandum that the defense said about when they watched the interview, it looked like to them that he thought he was being interviewed to try to help solve the crime. Well, based on what he said, I would have to agree because he was very forthcoming. You know, yeah, I was here. Were you there? So he thinks he's establishing just that he may have some value to the case. But then they turn around and he's already gotten himself in deep. He just doesn't realize it. And they're saying, okay, FYI, we found this bullet in between the two girls. And it came from your gun. And all of a sudden, they're like, so Richard, can you explain how that got there? And he's like, no, I really don't know. Like, I've never let anybody. Okay, if you're gonna lie, I'm just telling you, if I was guilty, this is just my opinion, but if I'm guilty and you're interrogating me, and I know I've got the gun still from 6 years ago that, was used in any way, shape, or form for intimidation, whatever, with this high-profile case. First of all, that gun would have been gone a long time ago. Never to be found again. As, any knife or anything else. But I definitely, if the police, even if I didn't think they really thought I was guilty, if I was guilty, and they said, did you have that kind of gun? Nope. I got rid of that a long time ago. No. Have you ever let somebody use it? Well, sure. I mean, I would have made up a story. I'm being totally honest with you. I would have made up a story. If I was afraid I was going to jail because I knew I was guilty. Because first of all, if I had done that kind of crime, I would not have, moral standards. All right. So let's just pretend, for the sake of argument that, I don't, and I'm a perpetrator. I would definitely be saying, oh yeah, all kind of people use that gun. Had friends. They used to come over. I mean, a lot of people, different people asked me to borrow it. I would have made up a good story. And he had 6 years to do it. I would have come up with something. Other than, no. I don't know. It's my gun. Never lent it out. Yeah, I got these clothes. Yeah, I was at the bridge. Well, how did the bullet get there? And then he's like, probably, oh crap. I don't know. To me, either one, let's go back to Tony Liggett. Either you're extremely stupid, like really dumb, or you're telling the truth. Because if you're that dumb, I don't know. I think you would have, if you were that dumb, I think he would have been caught a long time ago. It looks to me more like somebody who thinks he doesn't have any reason to hide anything. I mean, unless he thinks he's a master criminal. But that's just my opinion. For what it's worth. That's all it is, an opinion. Y'all, we've all got one. Okay, Professor Pug. At 4 pits. I just do not believe even abducted at bridge. Not believing that Libby pick is real. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. Just myself. I was looking at something today. Let's give you a sneak peek into what I'm going to talk about next time. I was looking at some video today because I was looking at the Down the Hill and I was reading the response, which made me go back to read the PCA because a lot of it's quoted in there. And I came across something and I thought, let me go look at the video. Let me look at the video that they put out of Bridge Guy. And when I looked at the video, I'm like, let me look closer. Let me enlarge this and look at it, because what is that? I'm like, what is that thing? Somebody explain this to me. It made me really, really, really question. And I mean, I know last time, and I've Apophis had some comments in here last time, and I screenshotted those because they're really good. We'll talk about that. Um, and I have no nowhere near the knowledge. Like, I don't know. I is like so far up about, being able to look at stuff than I am. I'm just looking at, at it like a normal human and like, that don't look right. What is that? So I will show you and we'll see. Maybe you think I'm crazy. I don't know. You wouldn't be the first people, I can tell you that much. But yeah, there were some things, and we will go over that. I just don't want to stop if there is, um, yeah, here's the thing. I'm looking for. Y'all have heard me say I've questioned a lot of times whether the girls were on the bridge that day or not, or at all. I've questioned it. Of course I have, because when you're thinking, you're going to question everything. You're going to look at every theory. Has it been a question in my mind? Yeah. The only reason I don't 100% buy into it is because I haven't found that one piece of evidence that says, without a doubt, they weren't there. If that piece of evidence exists, we will find it. My piece of evidence that I felt like for so long the girls were not there during the search was explained in that memorandum. This crime scene, all this stuff, all this staging did not happen in the middle of the afternoon with other people on the bridge. Other people's pictures on the bridge, around the bridge. The witnesses. Sorry, didn't happen. Didn't happen at that time. Did it happen later at night? Possibly. Possibly could have happened, or it happened elsewhere. I haven't seen crime scene photos, so, we don't know. We got the FBI saying there was a lot of blood, and we got the defense saying there wasn't. Well, it's one or the other, okay? But either way, the crime scene description is the one thing that made me say absolutely not. Not there. Couldn't have happened. Digital says, I'm praying there is a parallel investigation of the investigators, or this may never be able to be proven beyond. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And I'm going to tell you something, too. If it turns out that everything, despite the drama, that the defense said is in the discovery, is in, the documents that they got from the prosecution, then, man, I'm calling BS on everybody. I'm like, y'all just out here making up crap. So what are you hiding? Yeah, you all need to investigate it. If that is true, if everything the defense said is in those affidavits is true, then the prosecution, LA, has a big, big problem. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's not true. Who knows? I personally think the massacres, I shouldn't have said that word, started in the creek. Sorry, folks, just my opinion. It definitely could have happened. You know what? Because if it did, that would explain, wouldn't it, why there wasn't a lot of blood at the crime scene. Yeah, nobody, nothing. I'm not going to put this up here. But you're right. I know who you're talking about. About those videos. I honestly, I've watched some of those videos, and I did that. I actually watched that before I ever started delving into Delphi, like taking deep dives. So I did not know who he was talking about. Like, he said these names, but it meant nothing to me until Delphi. And I'm like, I hope to God that that's not true. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Keith Kellogg, yes, I Hello, Kelly. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Look, I didn't give a whole lot of a notice, a couple hours. Let me make sure. Let's see. Fort Pitt says, if anyone was still out after the search, which I believe there were quite a few, there is no way you could have got them girls back to where they were found. You can't. You can hear a twig break from half a mile away. I do agree that it is like you hear very long distances in the woods. The only thing, you're right, they couldn't have got them back if there were people there. But if what Eric Williams and who was it? I cannot think. The name escapes me. The other family member. Eric Williams wasn't family, but the other guy. If what they both said is true, then Capitano or other people would not let them go to that area. And if they were moving, them back in the middle of the night and people were out there searching, but nobody was letting them get in that area, hearing twigs pop and stuff like that, in my opinion, could have been, nobody's really paying attention to twigs popping and stuff like that because that there are still some searchers out. So that's, yes, but that's why I say it didn't happen in the afternoon. Same reason. You can't do that and you don't have any noise and people all around. So, when did they come back? What happened? I don't know. I don't know. Um, all right, let me go down. We're gonna stop this because, thank you, Keith. All right, I'm gonna stop this, and I am so sorry that whatever reason my email. Hello, butterfly. Let me just get this one down here. I am going to for sure look at all your stuff, and we are going to go over the other half of this, the response, and then we're also going to cover your comments, your questions, whatever, tomorrow, either in day or night. Okay. If you if I have to do it in the daytime, then just know that I don't know. Forgot what I was gonna say. I will do it. I will do it. If I have to do it in the daytime, just watch the replay. You can put comments below. All right, I am done. Done for tonight. And sorry, I had all the technical problems. I really have no idea why Google just took a massive, whatever. I'm not even gonna say the word. Google was just flushing everything tonight. I'm gonna have to go back now and get these documents again that I literally just looked at. Literally just had them. They're on tabs on my computer. Just looked over them prior to going live. It's beyond bizarre. So I don't know what's going on with Google. Maybe Google's having a I don't know. Whatever. Maybe they had an aneurysm. All right, so let me know what you think. Again, I will definitely cover the other half of this. Got a lot of things to say. There's so much in these documents. And let me say this. Hi Watha. Yeah, you sent me some stuff to look at, some links. Did anybody, before I leave, it was brought to my attention that Clutch is it Clutch? Is it Clutch True Crime? Clutch with a K. True Crime or Crime Clutch Crime case? I don't know. I just know Clutch. That's how I look it up. Clutch put out a new video. Gonna make some people really, really mad. I watched it and I actually stopped on that part. Okay, let me just go ahead because we're not gonna finish. On one of these pages, if you want to know, okay, and this is all theory and speculation, all right, it's just a question. It's just a question that Clutch asked, And it had gone through my mind as well. Uh, how did they even come to the Odinist? Well, first of all, they came to the Odinist, okay, from the crime scene. All right, they knew there it was staged. Okay, so that was there. But how did they get to Brad Holder specifically? Because remember, there's a lot of these, upstanding citizens that are Odinists and Vinlanders and all that. Even Gabe Ellis being one of them, and we've talked about him. But they got to Odinism because Patty, said to one of the law enforcement officers that, oh, by the way, Abby was dating Logan Holder. His dad's an Odinist. And she, she brought it to their attention because of the weird things on his Facebook. And there was a crime scene, or there was a picture that depicted two girls. And now this is a long time before, all right? And I tell you what, just go watch Clutch. Go watch Clutch and tell me what you think. It is definitely worth a thought, okay? Definitely worth a thought and a consideration, as is everything in this case, all right? All right, thank you so much, oh snap Sharon. I love your name, by the way. That's cool. So cool. I think I've said hello, Clutch. Let me write this. You know what? I'm going to type it in the comments. And it's been a while since I've watched one of his videos just because, I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe he doesn't put them out that much. But, look it up that way and you'll see it. It'll come up. Anyway, it's a thought. I have a lot of thoughts. Some of them are good. Some of them I realized later that was so stupid. But whatever. All right. I hope you had a great time. I will, again, be covering, I hopefully, be on CJ's panel or whatever while he's in South Carolina tomorrow at some time for Stephen Smith. That is another case that makes me furious. Want to see justice in that case. Of course, we will be back on Delphi. And I say I'm going to leave all the time. But then, something happens. Here I am, sucked back down the rabbit hole. But yeah, there's a lot to say about Delphi. So, I will see you tomorrow at some point talking about something, and we will definitely be going into the response. It is important that we hear both sides of the story, okay? All right. Have a great night. I'm so glad to see you all, and whatever you do, for heaven's sakes, stay safe. Gotta really say that to those Indiana folks. And stay silky, okay? I will see you later.